greater, any enemy greater than me. And if ever a traitor to myself I be. I'm pushing the limits, I'm testing my luck.
Good afternoon. It's 3 p.m. just gone, Saturday afternoon. I remember the days when you used to sit down in front of the World of Sport or grandstand and watch the results come in. Oh, how times have changed. But we're going to go back a little bit, and we've got a Leicester Till I Die special on. I'm back along with Brad and Craig, my Tuesday chum and my post-match buddy. And we're going to go back and have a look at our first matches. What got us into Leicester? How did we get into Leicester? What game did we go and see? What was it? Who were we with? What was the result? And I think this is about the fourth show this week I've actually done. I've come back more times than the Terminator. So, but let's bring my colleagues in and first of all say a good afternoon to them. Oh, and don't forget, I should point out on Facebook, feel free. We want to hear your comments. We want to know when your matches are. I've got a few to read out from a page on our website, leicestertillidie.com. We've got a full page of first matches on there. And if you want to, Brad did post the link on a Facebook thread that you can click on, and we can actually get you into the studio live for a minute, and you can make a change from looking at us ugly ones. Bring yourself onto screen. But let us know anyway your first games. This is what it's all about. And a good afternoon first of all to Matthew. Afternoon all, nice to have you along, Matthew. So first of all, let's say hello to Brad. How you doing, Brad?
Hi Chris. Yeah, I'm doing fine as usual. It's better than the weather.
Yeah, and nice to see you got the retro shirt on as well.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you, full of Leicester shirts.
Mine is, and I tried 3 on before I actually got one that still fitted me. I thought, right, we're looking back, and if anybody's lost any pounds, I think I found them for you. This was the third one I tried on that didn't make me look like Pamela Anderson, but
might get somebody more views that way.
Yeah, probably get it'd be a different sort of video if it was Pamela Anderson, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah.
Somebody who's more Brad Pitt than Pamela Anderson. Let's get my Tuesday chum in and say good afternoon, Brad. Craig.
Hi, Chris. How you doing? You all right, Brad?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Yeah, we're good.
I never thought I'd be sharing any screen time with Pamela Anderson, but so it's a big day for me.
You've not seen you. You say you've not seen YouTube recently, then, have you? I'll send you the link, mate. I'll send you the link.
Cheers, mate.
That was a night you forgot. Now, as you can see, we've got we're not exactly spring chickens here. We are sort of the more mature. Well, I certainly am generation. So let's start. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take Craig and Brad out for 1 second while I'll start with what my first game was. And I'm going to go right back to 1981. Because growing up, I never had a family that was into football. I never had friends that were into football. So I never really got to go to any games as a youngster. My dad was more sort of wrestling in the days of Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks. But on the 11th of February 1981, we had a night game, a friendly against 13-time Yugoslav First Division champions Red Star Belgrade. They had actually just beaten Nottingham Forest, who I think at the time were actually European champions. And they came with a bit, they said, Red Star turned up with that big reputation that they had, and we were being managed by Jock Wallace. We were a young side, and it had just taken us from just won us the second division title. But we managed to actually go out and beat them 3-0. I mean, nothing changes with Leicester. We still don't do what we expect. You know, we do well against the good teams, bad against the not so good teams. But yeah, we beat them 3-0. And for those of you that may remember, we got a hat trick from Jim Melrose, and there's a blast from the past. And we won 3-0. And I can remember a guy pulling over in the car on my way home as I was walking home, and the guy said, "Hey mate, what was the score?" And I said, "We won 3-0." And he went, "Yeah, piss off, mate, you're lying," and drove off. So yeah, that's what it was. But that's what got me hooked. Matthew's just making a comment here. I believe we never won in that green shirt. Well, you probably know better than me, Matthew. I don't remember. It's just a bit different. The second shirts are always fashion. I don't know whether we're meant to win in them or whatever, but they're always fashion. Right, shall we go then to Brad now and say hello again, Brad?
Hello again.
So my first game was against the mighty Red Star Belgrade. You're going to tell me now yours was a wet, windy day against Yeovil.
No, it certainly wasn't. It's not in the 80s. I'm too young for that one. You know, speak for yourself when you say old ones. Thank you. But my game has got more of an attachment to it because I'm going to go with the first one I remember going, because I've been told that I've been to other games when I was younger, but the one I remember going to, my granddad took me, and I remember it well. It was a certain game. I'll see if the comments can guess before I say it. There was a hat trick involved in it, and Leicester were unbeaten at the time. They'd just come back to the Premiership after a dramatic playoff win. And there was a few argy-bargy moments in that game. And I remember it well because my granddad, my mates all supported whoever was top of the league. They were one of them, you know, as kids are, and we all were like that at some point. And my mum decided that if I was going to support anyone, it was going to be my local team, Leicester. And my granddad, who suffers with MS, so any of you that know anyone who suffers like, you know what that disease does to you. And he was determined to take me to my first game. And if you haven't guessed already, the game was the classic 3-3 draw with Arsenal. And I remember being excited, but not knowing too much about football at that point, which would be hard to believe with the amount of times I get called Stato from my mates from all I know. And he sat me down before kickoff, and you know, he pointed a few things out. I knew which team we were, I knew what colour we were. And he goes, you know, I remember him sitting me down and saying, "All right, now, Brad, this team they're playing called Arsenal," which I laughed at because I'm a child at that point. I laughed at the word arse being said. He said, "They're a very good team. Don't think because Leicester might lose tonight because they're playing a very, very good team and Leicester are new to this league, that they're not a good team because they've done really well up until this point. So don't be sad if we lose tonight. Just enjoy the game." And I remember turning around at one point, and I don't know if it was at half time. I think Heskey. No, it was in the first half, and it was 2-0 to Arsenal. And I turned around to my granddad and said, "You're not disappointed, are you?" And I went, "No, because the Leicester, the blue team, yeah." And he went, "Yeah, they're really trying against this side." And I remember Heskey scored to make it 2-1. And I turned around to my granddad and went, "We might do this. This is looking good." And then Elliot got the equaliser for 2-2. And then I will never forget it. And it one of the best goals I ever remember, and it was the first game I ever remember seeing, was Bergkamp when he flicked it over Elliot and then just side-footed it into that top corner at 3-2. And I remember feeling originally, obviously, a little bit disappointed because, you know, we'd lost the game. It's 3-2. It's the 90th minute. I still wasn't sure on this injury time or all this thing. I just saw the big screen had 9-0 and that was it. The game was going to end. And I was happy. I was like, wow, this team never gives up. I really like this team. I don't know how good we're supposed to be. And then in that last minute when Walsh headed it back across goal and Pryor, I still get chills watching the video highlights. I still have it on VHS. My granddad's kept the VHS of it. And I just remember corner came in, the header, and then you heard the commentator on the VHS before Walsh connects with it going, "Yes, And I just remember feeling the whole stadium shake, and that was it. I was in love with the club after that game because I just saw a team that lives by our name, ironically, in their own. They never die. And it was just brilliant. It was a fantastic game. I couldn't have picked one better than myself to experience, or at least remember.
I mean, it was, like you say, an amazing game, and I've been trying to get hold of Steve Walsh. I'd love to know if he would have actually flattened Ian Wright at the end of that game, because he went for him. And I was actually in and Craig will remember this. I was actually in an LCFC chat with Jerry Taggart, Matt Elliott, and it should have been Steve Walsh. And that was my question that I put forward that had got me in. But then Walsh, unfortunately, wasn't well and he couldn't come in. But Matt did say that, yes, knowing Steve as he did, he would have flattened him, you know. But,
he would have gone through him. He just steamrolled him. Ian Wright's only a little bloke, and he was backing off. I tell you what, that VHS makes it clear as day. There was only going to be one winner if they come to blows. As our boy Steve.
It was yeah. I mean, as I say, I don't blame you. What a first game to go to! What a first game to go to! But let's see what Craig is. So let's bring Craig in now. I'm sure these are probably it's going to be a black and white game, but sorry, Craig. What was your first?
To be honest, Chris, I'm surprised because my first game, if I remember rightly, is before yours. And
Right.
although I do remember, obviously, I remember Brad's game very, very well. One of the best games ever down at Filbert Street. Mine was at Filbert Street, and it's funny because doing the research for this to just check back when it was, I thought it was earlier than it actually was. I remember I didn't have anybody in my family who liked who wanted to go down to the football. My dad wasn't really into football, although he seemed to play away a lot. But I don't know, maybe that's something else. But so I think my uncle, if I remember rightly, my uncle, my sadly late Uncle David took me. And I remember being basically on the back row of the old double-decker. And it was, let me just check the date. It was the 21st of December, 1979. So we're back in another decade. And it was at home to Cardiff City. And you can imagine that after this game, I was hooked because it finished 0-0. It's nothing else I can remember about that game other than being at the back of the double-decker and the fact that it was the first time I'd ever been down to Filbert Street. As a kid, I think as a lot of kids were, before that, if you weren't taken down to the game, then you tended to just see what was on TV, and we weren't a huge team at the time, so we weren't on TV very much. So I think I switched my allegiance pretty much every year, depending on who was doing well, or maybe sometimes who won the FA Cup. So I think I was a Sunderland fan for a year when they beat Leeds in the FA Cup final, like Southampton, all of these. So I switched around. I never really found a team until I was taken down to Leicester for that game. I think there was a little gap afterwards, but then the following season, probably the first game I properly remember, I actually managed to get a job at the ground. And in those days, the away fans were in the old East stand, in the very low, small one-tier East stand. And I actually worked for a season in the kiosk, serving them their beverages and half-time snacks in the away fans, which, as you can imagine, in the late 70s, early 80s as it was then, I think it was 1980, the season that I worked there, was interesting, shall we say, particularly depending on how the result went. But I remember one particular game, there was when we beat Liverpool 2-0, and Andy Peake scored from, looking back, I think it must have been from his own 6-yard box. It seemed that far out, but it was probably about 20 yards. But he banged it into the top corner and we won 2-0. And so that's probably the first one I really remember. But I was actually working at the ground then. And then once I gave that job up, I was a regular, and usually Spinecock Pen 3 was my my spot for all subsequent.
I wasn't there, but I remember that Liverpool game and Andy Peake, and we were one of the, because he scored at the end where all the executive boxes were, and at the time I think we were one of the, if not the only ground that had those sort of boxes at the ground, and it was the first time. I think that season we did the double over Liverpool, and it was the first time I think anybody had beaten Liverpool at their place for maybe 3 seasons, something ridiculous like that, or 2 seasons. The first team to do the double over them for 3 or 4 seasons, and we got relegated. Of course, but it was good times. Good times. I remember Andy Peake. Well.
I managed to find the team that played in that game, the Cardiff game. See what you think to this lineup. Chris and the older people will remember a few of these names. So there was Mark Wallington in goal.
Oh, used to love.
We had,
he had the bald head, didn't he? He was going bald at the back, and we used to. You're
young.
We're probably totally over Brad's head here.
I think he was going bald from the age of about 40. Mark Wallington.
He was.
The centre halves were John O'Neill and Larry May.
Wow.
Tommy Williams and Dennis Rofe. The midfield was Bobby Smith, Rob Kelly and Andy Peake. And up front we had Martin Henderson, Alan Young, and a young Gary Lineker.
Wow.
That was the lineup on the day.
Those are the days, I'll tell you. I honestly, doing this has realised I am such an old git. You've
only just realised.
Yeah, I've been in denial. I've been in denial for so long. I'm like a vampire. I don't have any mirrors in my house, you know. But we do a thing on Leicester Till I Die, and Mark Chorner, who's one of our regular contributors, helped me out with it. And one of the pages is a foot in both camps. And it's players that have played for Leicester and played for other teams. And I realised how many of these older and even some black and white pictures of people I remember, you know. But it goes back. And let's just have a look. I'm just going to have a look now and read a few out that have been sent in. So let me just try and bring it get these up here. So David Green, his was the same first match as me, which was the 3-0 Red Star Belgrade one. Eric Wade, Leicester versus Leeds on an Easter Tuesday. It was a 0-0. Bit like yours there, Craig. Yeah, we still stick at them. Watford away was Gerard Boland, January 1970, lost 2-1. Matthew Gregory was Leicester versus Middlesbrough Boxing Day, and he's not sure, 77-78ish at Filbert Street again, a 0-0 draw. A lot of these 0-0s coming up, or was that maybe just Leicester at the time? Ann Timpson, first league match was 73-74 against Arsenal. We lost 1-0. And Margaret, my first game would have been about 57-58. So I think that's probably the furthest back. Don't know who was playing, but I think Johnny Anderson was the goalkeeper. Not surprised you don't remember. It's a long time ago. And Alan Helmsley, 1963, Man United at home, won 4-3, had to climb on the toilet wall at the back of the Cop, Filbert Street, and crawled along the sanction above the crowd on my belly to get a decent view. Pooing myself above the crowd below, but what a game. So yeah, that's quite a few. And it's amazing how, you know, there's a few like you, okay, there 0-0s, and you still stick with the club, don't we?
That's it. I think you know, when you're actually taken to a game, I think that's the thing. If you haven't had that allegiance sort of drummed into you by a parent or an uncle or whatever at the time, then I think you're more susceptible to being lured in by being taken to a first live game. And as I say, because I didn't live in a household with a football allegiance, that was it. They were my team, and I knew that I could go down if I could save my pocket money, and I could go down and see them play. So from that point, there was never any turning back. That Leicester was my team, and they've rewarded me pretty well down the years.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, coming back to your game, which was the Arsenal one, I mean, I'm impressed that you went there and you didn't come back supporting Arsenal, because we had the fighting spirit, and that was something we always had under O'Neill. Win, lose, draw, the players, gave blood out on that pitch for him. But Arsenal, I mean, like you say, that sublime clip of Bergkamp's over Matt Elliott, even he will admit, he was done by him. It was sublime. They were a lovely team to watch, and I'm impressed that you didn't come out actually going, do you know what? I like the team in red and white.
Yeah, I mean, I when I think back to it now, I kind of realised that through most of my adult life, I've always kind of admired the story of the underdog. Some of my favourite movies, a classic one to give is, I know it's a bit of a comedy, but obviously it's based on a true story, is Cool Runnings. It's the underdogs. And I've always admired a movie like that. And I think that's what drew me in. And it was with my family. I've got my mum who supports Coventry. My dad's a Wolves fan who, wanted me to support Wolves growing up. And my uncle's an Ipswich fan, but they were all born and raised in the areas that they were at the time, where their clubs were based. And my dad really wanted me to go to Wolves, so I nearly supported a really awful team. But my mum was insistent, look, he doesn't have to follow football, but if he does, he's going to see his local team play. And I think what helped the situation is I kind of listened to my granddad tell me that Leicester might not win this game. They're not the favourites. Arsenal are the good side. Leicester... and I didn't know until obviously I was a bit older and I had the VHS and watched it back. We were actually undefeated. We actually did a typical Leicester. We drew that game and then lost to Sheffield Wednesday, which ended our undefeated run to the start of the Premiership. And I think that's just what collared me. And sometimes when you're given the choice and the freedom as a child to go, look, that is your local team, but if you want to support the team that we're playing against, that's up to you. And you see the effort, and that's what drew me in. That's what it was. It really was that. It was a team that wasn't supposed to win. I was expecting to go home and go, oh, we lost 3-0. They're rubbish. I think that Arsenal are better. And because even if they lost 3-2 or 2-1, I just remember turning around in a little child's face like, what is going on? What's going on, Grandad? They're not stopping. They're losing, but they're not stopping. He goes, that's because they want to keep trying. Yeah. And they've always been like that to me. And there's some teams... When I see the cup matches, I love watching them matches. Even when we're the team that gets the upset put against them, I love watching them games because I'm like, go on, please. It's so nice. And as a kid, it's one of the best feelings. As a football fan,
I take on board totally what you're saying about supporting your local team. I mean, I left Leicester when I was 21. By the time I was having my children, I was ensconced and I was 25 years living in Burnley. And when I had my firstborn, and I wanted it, it could have been a girl, it could have been a boy. They were going to be into football. They were going to come to the football with me. And we lived in Burnley at the time, and it was the Burnley under the management of Chris Waddle, when they were more commonly known as Burnley nil. They were the most boring games. And I said to my lads, Sean's 25 now, so it was sort of 20 odd years ago. And I said, look, you support Leicester because your dad supports Leicester. You support Burnley, and I will accept you supporting Burnley because that's your local team. But you're not supporting Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea just because they're on TV all the time. So, but thankfully, he's got a brain and he supported the proper team. But Matthew's just mentioned here, just bring the comment on, Filbert Street mid-90s against Wimbledon. Well, I think we won 2-1, although a lot of that decade were a bit of a blur. Yeah, let's not go into that, Matthew? But
mid-90s against Wimbledon, that could have been away at their ground, because I remember Guppy scoring 2-1, and Leicester was a winner at Leicester. I think we played them in the League Cup in the mid-90s, didn't we? I know we beat them.
Yeah. We beat them a Simon Grayson goal in the League Cup. It was the second leg, and I think we went through on away goals. Then
we drew 0-0 at our place.
I think that was the first year, was it not? Will you remember, Craig? Was that the first year we won the World? Well, not the first time we won the League Cup, but the first time under the O'Neill.
It was. I can guarantee that.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds familiar to me. I mean, we had a great record in the League Cup during those years.
Yes.
I don't remember the first time we. That was just slightly before my time, Chris. The first one we won. I think it was the last two-legged final, wasn't it? That we won.
I think it was. I think it could well have been. Yes. Yeah. You see, you do remember. I'm going to say good afternoon to Larry Woodward. I think a first-time viewer. Thanks for joining us, Larry. You're most welcome. April the 22nd, 67, home versus Sheffield United. Bicester Boys end of the season day trip. Parents couldn't afford it, so I sneaked onto the bus. Well, hey, those are the days when you could sneak into the ground. You could be a Bentley boy and watching it from the roof and what have you.
Parents don't know about that now because you're never too old to get a hiding.
If they're watching this, they do. And I've just lost that one. Let me bring it back in. Matthew again, always loved it behind the goal at Filbo with the away fans to our right. I mean, was that because you had? I think the away fans had Cop 1, didn't they? If my memory serves me. And then was after that big Cop 2.
As I say, there was away fans have moved around a bit in down at Filbert Street. They did. I can say that year that I was working in the kiosk, so that was 1980. They were definitely on the east stand. So we had all four parts of the Cop, and they were round on the east stand. And I think for a while they were sent down to the bottom corner as well, the away fans down there. Before then, they were given the Spine Cop 1 and made it a little bit more feisty.
Yeah, it was like that in the 90s. I do remember when we was in the Premier League, more specific that game where you're saying they was in that low tier 1 stand in the far corner next to what was classed as the main home stand with a double decker. But I do remember seeing times where it was kind of like West Brom where they split it in half. They did do that, but I think that all depended on who we was playing and what the thing was. But more in the 90s, it was more on that east stand that they had their fans.
I can remember my worst ever game, talking about the Pens just very quickly, was we played Chelsea. And it was a Friday night because the Tigers were playing at home on the Saturday. So they'd moved us to Friday night. And this was pre-Premier League. This was when it was the old First Division. And everybody was getting searched going in. They were having Coke bottles, plastic Coke bottles taken off them, etc. And, of course, everything, both teams in blue and white. So it was impossible to differentiate. So we went into the pen, obviously being big, brave fans that we are, mainly because I was with my mate Colin and he was built like a brick shithouse. So I was with him. I thought I was safe. And we were in the pen next to the Chelsea fans. And there was only ever sort of a door between the two pens that, it was just the mesh and the door. And there was about 10 of them managed to kick the door in and break into our pen. And a whole lot of us just ran into the corner. There's only 10 of them. And then, of course, Leicester, being Leicester and not doing what you expect Leicester to do, went and scored. And I think, oh, for God's sake, you know what I mean? And there was trouble down the family stand. There was fireworks going off. Thankfully, we did the right thing and let Chelsea equalise. But I remember saying, and now this is it, health and safety, going down to try and get out. Couldn't get out. The doors were locked. We were literally penned in, if you like. Can't imagine that these days. And I had to get a policeman because I went home at half time. I went, I'm just not enjoying this. Can you let me out? And he opened the door, stuck his head out, and said, "Run." And I think somebody actually got stabbed that night. But those were the days, eh? Those were the days.
So those days of the old Spy and Cop. I mean, I had many of those occasions, and used to go and stand in the same spot almost. So it was always pen 3 up near the back on the right hand side, so quite close to pen 2. But I remember there was an occasion when I think we were playing Leeds, or obviously Dirty Leeds as they're better known, and I got into the ground at the same time. Went to walk over to my normal spot, and I thought, there's far too many people here than should be here for this time of the day before kickoff. So being the big brave guy that I wasn't, I went over to the left and stood over there and decided to see what happened. And lo and behold, when the teams came out, or they kicked off, or shortly afterwards, yeah, it was full of Leeds fans and all hell let loose for a short period. And then, but you know, the police were on it in them days because they knew what was going on, so they got them out pretty quick. But there's been a few occasions with that, and yeah, they were quite hair raising. But the beauty of being in the Kop, and I guess for maybe some younger people who don't remember standing, was that you could start at the back of the Kop, and if we scored, you could easily find yourself right down the front with a big surge.
Oh yes, yes.
That was the beauty of standing up at a football game, and sadly, you know, we know why, but it's a shame those days went.
Yeah, even without crowd surfing, you just literally end up at the front, wouldn't you? But I'm just going to bring in another Brad here quickly, and I'm guessing this is Brad Hicksy Hicks. So welcome along, Brad. Nice of you to join us. First game was a 4-0 win over Wimbledon, February 2003. And I remember this vote whether we should keep the name City or change it back to Foss. That was our new owners.
No,
sorry, who were the owners at the time?
That was when we was in nationwide. That was nationwide, so that was when Mandarich had just come in, was it not?
Mm-hmm.
Not
no,
these owners.
I'm sure it was the actual Top and Kunchai who having taken over the club, and because I think wasn't it a vote in the in the program that you could vote whether you wanted to change or save it? Because I remember thinking at the time, because we'd got taken over, you didn't know who was taken over from us. You'd got the guy at Cardiff, can't remember what his name was now. He was changing shirt colours and everything. And I remember thinking, like, oh, that's kind of nice. At least they're asking us what we want.
Yeah, but in 2003...
It sounds more...
No, go on, Craig.
Sorry. I was going to say, that sounds more Mandarich time than Vichai, because in 2003, I mean, 17 years ago, they haven't been there. They haven't been with us that long. It sounds a bit more Mandarich kind of thing.
That was when we finished second in the league to Portsmouth. We did the double over Portsmouth and got promoted from the nationwide because we beat Wimbledon by 4-0. We got 2 penalties in that game, and at their place, they would turn up and beat us 3-2. I remember that season distinctively. I can't, you know, that was the season we was in debt and Lineker got us out. However, what Brad might be confusing it with is I think the Fosting was with the owners we have now because they got on the idea, but I don't think they coincide with the 2003 game that he's talking about.
No, it could be, and let's face it, all our memories do get blurred through through various reasons. But yeah, I do seem to. I'm all well. Like I say, I stand to be corrected, but I did think it was our current owners. And I remember thinking, like, I think that was the first thing that made me think, like, we've got decent owners here. You know, they're actually asking us rather than just coming in. But I must admit, I was one of those. I wanted Leicester Foss. I just love the sound of it. It's different. Right, you guys?
I wasn't too fussed on the situation myself. I don't know about Craig, because obviously, me being the younger generation, I grew up on City, but being a stato and getting so I dove headfirst into Leicester. I mean, if my dad could have got on, he'd have told you that I had a birthday tour around Filbert Street, and I was the only kid when they asked. Because we used to have an executive box in the corner, which was the Foss bar. And when the question got asked like they do on tours, I was the only kid that went, I know why it's called Foss, because that's what we originally used, you know, and gave the answer. And he was just like, you know, you're 7 years old and you're answering it like a 30-year-old bloke. But I was happy for both names. What about you, Craig? What was your feeling on possibly going back?
It's weird because I don't really recall taking much notice of it at the time, so it must have passed me by. But I think I can understand why there would have been talk of Foss, and I mean, we would have been the only one, and I guess raising the profile of the club a bit, it would have helped. But I think I grew up with City, and we are a City, and I'm quite happy that we stuck with it, to be honest.
I don't think any of us, Craig and me, were even around when it was Leicester Foss. So It goes back. It goes
no.
back further than any of us. Even me. Larry. Larry says here, pretty sure the away fans were put to the upper tier, the double decker, in the famous relegation battle in 1991. I will go with that. I don't remember, to be honest with you. But
I think it was when we got into the Premier League and when that was established that it was changed that they had to be sectioned. Because I do remember, obviously, because like I said, I've gone back over the archives over the years to catch up on years before I could remember. And I do remember a time when that stand was split. But I also then obviously remember when I started to follow in the mid-90s that they were more sectioned over there, because I don't remember ever seeing them back over at the Cop end after it became known as the Premier League. That might be when it changed the laws. That might have been just because of a law change.
Okay, I'll show this over to Craig first, and then pass it over to Brad. Do you miss Filbert Street?
I guess I miss the fact that it was a standing arena, an arena. That's making it a little bit more glorious than it actually was. I don't particularly miss the facilities, but I do miss the atmosphere that was created there. But I think that's probably more because I was in the atmosphere. So if you were down there in the family stand, in the orange seats or in the East stand, I'm not sure the atmosphere would have been as good, to be honest. But I do miss that element of it, of being able to, the days when you could walk down to the ground and sort of pay to get in. You could do it on a whim. I know we've been a bit nostalgic, but I do remember there was one incident. I think we'd got promoted, and it may have been around the Jock Wallace time, or it may have been a bit later. As you say, the years sort of merge a little bit. But I'd been to every game, and I got down there, and I think we were playing Burnley in the last game of the season, and people had turned up from everywhere. All these even before we won the league, the armchair fans, and they were a thing. And I got down there, pretty late, and it was absolutely rammed. And they were basically just turning people away and saying that you can't come in. And I was like, I've been to every game this season. I'm not missing this one. And I must admit, it was the one and only time that I've jumped a turnstile. Actually jumped the turnstile, ran up into the double decker and just found an empty seat. And then someone came and took their seat, and I managed to find somewhere up near the back. But, I'd been through a lot that season. I wasn't being kept out of that last game, but I don't think I'd get away with it these days.
Yeah. And did you get to Filbert Street, Brad?
Yeah. As you know, my first experience was at Filbert Street.
Of course, yeah.
It will always hold fond memories for me. And I think sometimes maybe it's just the way that football's changed over the generations and the fans themselves have changed. But I think that's an atmosphere you'd love to have bottled and taken to the King Power, because obviously you kind of got a flashback in the season we won the league to remembering what that atmosphere was like. I mean, it was very close, a small stadium, and I know obviously in the years when they were a lot more lenient, we've had our highest attendance actually at Filbert Street, where people practically stood on the pitch for what it was worth. And it's always going to be a miss, and it's always going to be a part of our history that we look back on fondly, despite the relegations and what happened with it. But it's an atmosphere you'd like to bottle, and it's not so much easy to generate when there's an extra 10,000 seats there. And obviously, it's more of a corporate game, unfortunately, these days. We'll, just nip that in the bud. But if you could get the 30,000 of genuine fans like you used to get, like you said, Craig jumping over turnstiles to break in, I may have had my my dad, well, my stepdad at the time, he may have snuck us into a few games that were packed on cup nights. And they were a whole different atmosphere as well. You mentioned it earlier, Chris. We had a very rich, I think you both mentioned it actually, we had a very rich time in the cup competitions where we made a lot of finals, and we was always, Wembley was almost a second home through the 90s. So I and I know obviously in other eras it was as well, but so when a cup game came along, it wasn't like, it didn't matter who we had a good attendance, and the atmosphere was always at high. I mean, I remember watching us play Charlton. I think it was. I can't remember what round it was, but home and away, we had the grounds full. I remember. I'm trying to remember who it was against, but Lawrence, the one who had the pineapple on his head, scored the goal. Was that Stevenage? Yeah, that was it. Jamie Lawrence against Stevenage. And the ground was fairly packed. Yeah, and that ground, from what I remember, was fairly packed for that game. And you don't get that these days in football when it's a lower league opposition at your home ground. So, yeah, the atmosphere, I would love to put that up into the King Power and get it in. I think that'd be brilliant.
Matthew here just saying last time Forest were in the Prem. Can we remember that far back?
That must. Well, the last time we was both in the Prem, that's got to be at the back end of the 90s. It can't have been before then.
Forest went 1-0 up, then when we hammered them. Brilliant day. I have some mates who are Forest fans and we travelled together. It's always good when you go with a mate and you win, Jamie Karen Preston from Leicester Fan TV. Welcome along, Jamie. Nice to have you along. I'm not sure what he was replying to here, but yes, we did in the cup game versus Chelsea 2-0, but lost on penalties. We have what we've got here. Never catch you out. No, Jamie is the Encyclopedia Britannica of Leicester City.
There was one just talking of Filbert Street that I remember vividly. I remember because I'd followed Leicester, as I say, from the late 70s all the way through, and I remember telling myself that I would never go to Wembley unless Leicester were playing. So I didn't want to go for any other game, whether it was an England game or to see anybody else who may have got me tickets. I was never going to go unless it was Leicester. And then we had all those great years under Brian Little of the playoffs. And I went to the away game. We had the semi-final against Cambridge. And I went to the away game, and I think we drew 1-1. Steve Claridge was playing for Cambridge at the time. And then we had the return leg, and I could only get a ticket, again, up in the double-decker near the back row. But I remember we went 3-0 up, I think, really quickly in that game. And I remember just sitting there thinking, we're going to Wembley. I'm going to Wembley to watch Leicester City at Wembley. As we know, it didn't turn out very well with the speedy dive for Blackburn. But I remember that particular feeling as much as the game of, wow, my team's going to Wembley. And so, again, another magical memory of Filbert Street.
I think we ended up beating Cambridge 5-0. And when I actually, because Brian Little did the My Favourite Things again on the website, LeicesterTillIDie.com, ex-players, celebrity fans and managers giving their 5 favourite things. And his favourite match, which was one of the questions, was that Cambridge match. And I think just everything just went in. And did you go? Because I've only been to Wembley once, in fairness, to see Leicester. Did you went to Wembley? I take it, did you?
Yeah, I managed to get to every Wembley appearance we've had. Every Wembley appearance we've had, actually, because that was during my period. Obviously, there were we were there in the 60s in the Cups, but I know I managed to get to them. And even though the second year when we got there against Swindon, and we lost 4-3, if I watched that game though, and it was on recently. There was I think Sky did something about the playoff finals, and our game was featured against Swindon. But the noise that was generated when we got the third goal against Swindon to go 3-3 after being 3-0 down, even now it's sending a tingle up my spine, because I think it wasn't long after we got the second goal and the fans were still raucous, and then we got the equaliser. It was absolutely unbelievable. And then obviously the following year would be Bobby.
Yeah, I was up in Lancashire at the time, and I actually didn't think it was going to be, because in those days it was shown on terrestrial TV, and I didn't think it was going to be shown on Granada, who covered the Northwest, and drove down to my mum and dad's with my wife-to-be and watched it on Central TV in Leicester, and that was the longest journey back anywhere. I never spoke to my wife once. During the time, I obviously spoke to her many times afterwards, but during that, I just said, "Don't talk to me. You drive. I'm not going to do anything." I literally I was out of all emotions. I was wrung out. I actually got to Wembley once to see Leicester. Actually, at the time, I was actually working for Blackburn Rovers in their hospitality department, and as such, they got free tickets to League Cup finals, etc., from the FA, and they had some for the Tranmere final, and as I'm sure you can imagine, at Blackburn Rovers, there wasn't a great take-up of these tickets to watch Leicester Tranmere, and I got, but unfortunately I was down the side in mixed fans, so the atmosphere was good, but it wasn't like being at the far end. Let's bring Brad back in, and I don't know whether, Brad, you were ever able to get to see Leicester at Wembley?
Yeah, I've got a great memories of going to Wembley. I was deemed too young by my father, even though I've got the signed shirt from the game, to go to the Crystal Palace playoff. I've just looked at the shirt there, and I wasn't old enough to go to the Middlesbrough one, but I remember going to see us play Tottenham in the Worthington Cup final. And my dad loves telling a story. We all went with his mates. Not all of them Leicester fans, but they just enjoyed going to football games and obviously come along because he got free tickets with the work. My dad's company he worked for at the time actually sponsored the tunnel at Leicester, Widdowson Group. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that company. They don't exist, unfortunately, anymore, but that's how he got the tickets. And we lost, obviously, as we know, infamously. Edinburgh got sent off, and then Everson, I think it was, scored the late goal. And obviously, I was disappointed, but being the child that I wasn't as heartbroken and as disconsolate as my dad and my stepdad and all them were that were Leicester fans and following there. And I remember turning around to them, and it's one point of the story my dad loves, and I remember turning around to them and going, "Don't worry, lads, we'll be back again next year." And obviously, being the age I was, having no concept how difficult it was to get to a final, it cheered the atmosphere up. So the bus drive back home wasn't as quiet as yours was with your wife, Chris, but it was a bit more cheered, and obviously we all know what we went on to do, and we was the last team to win at the old Wembley in the League Cup.
Yeah,
when we beat Tranmere.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think during that big, because we had all the playoff games, and then they ran into all the finals. And it was Wembley was our second home, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, it really was in the 90s. And I also made the Tranmere game, and I also made the Community Shield game. So I've been to Wembley 3 times in my life.
I've got to be honest, I'd forgotten the Community Shield game. Yes,
I tried to get it as well because we lost it, but
yes, yeah. I mean, I couldn't do it now with my heart. I'd have been. I mean, thank God there was a lift going up. I think because it was so far up, it was like I didn't know when it was going to end.
Yeah. Something that is strange as well is Craig's worked for the club at Filbert Street. You worked for Blackburn, and I actually got the Man U tickets through working when I worked at the King Power. So we've all got something in common working for a football club here.
Yeah,
yeah. Interesting thing we found out today.
I don't know if you can call working at Blackburn Rovers a football club or not, but
well, they've won a league title, which is more than some clubs. So
the funny thing was that I lived in Burnley at the time, and Blackburn and Burnley literally absolutely hate each other. I mean, with a passion, they would literally stab each other if they could. And I used to get sort of like shirts for a tenner from the shop. So there was me and my 2 kids. And we would come back from the game. We'd have to pull over on the local motorway, get changed out of our Blackburn Rovers shirts, just so we could sort of pull into a McDonald's in Burnley and get something to eat. Otherwise, we would have got literally pasted. But yeah, just was Alan Nielsen that scored from an Everson cross, Brad. So
I knew Everson was involved somewhere. I can remember that one. Cheers.
That was when Savage got somebody sent off in that one, didn't he?
Edinburgh. Justin Edinburgh got sent off.
Only ever seen Leicester at Wembley, and the 2006 Community Shield lost 2-1 to United. Yes, it was the start of not the best season. But right, I'm going to say thank you very much, guys, for joining us. You've made a happy man feel very old. I'm now going to go and cry into me Bovril.
Good fun as always, Chris. Cheers, Brad.
It's nice to look back,
Dave,
and maybe we'll do one. I've got a couple of ideas, maybe sort of away games and favourite players, and we'll do it again. And reminisce and
sounds good.
Possibly when we've got no game on at the weekend, it's an international break. Craig, I will see you on Tuesday. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us. Let me just take a few things off here. So I'll see you for the Tuesday show, and like I say, thank you for that. So take care of yourself, mate, and stay safe.
Yeah, cool. I'll see you soon. Mate. Cheers, guys.
And Brad, I'll be spending my Sunday night with you again.
I know you have to get a bottle of wine out at this rate, mate. You've had me on Thursday. We did the test from your headset yesterday. You got me on today, and then I'm on tomorrow.
When you say "had you," do you mind just rephrasing that?
Oh no, I'll get the whisperer started now, mate. Yeah, the cat's out the bag. Come on.
Okay, so it's out the bag. Mate, I'll see you probably about half an hour after the final whistle on Sunday. And hopefully,
I've got my extra role that I've got my extra role, haven't I? That you hoodwinked me into, so I won't be ready 2 minutes after full time anymore, will I?
You won't know. Brad now looks after our Instagram. So thanks very much, Brad. Speak on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll see you then. And cheers again to Craig and nice speaking.
Yeah. So thanks very much to everybody who's joined us. A look back there, like you say, making us all feel very old, but it's nice to look back. And thanks everybody who joined us. If you want to watch it again, and let's face it, why wouldn't you? Or you nipped to the toilet and missed a bit, this will be live on YouTube in about 10-15 minutes, depending on how quickly my computer's working. And if you are watching it on YouTube, give us a follow. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and of course www.leicestertillidie.com is the website. They're all going to be listed below on YouTube. You'll find us there. Guys, Arsenal up on Sunday, 7:15, pay-per-view. So I'm going to be looking for a stream this time. I'm not paying again. And we'll see you after about half an hour after the final kickoff for the post-match show. Whatever you're doing for the rest of the weekend, until then, make sure you stay safe.